Welcome back to another Explainer, Focused Learners. Let's get right to it because today we're uncovering exactly how a real-world, high-stakes procurement dossier was solved. And honestly, it reads a bit like a strategic thriller. We're looking at Purchase Dossier SSJU12171. Now, if you're in operations, supply chain, or procurement, you already know sourcing isn't just about swiping a credit card. It's about architecting actual solutions under intense pressure. Today, we're going to explore how a complex, multi-category emergency response requirement in Juba was transformed from a massive financial risk into a literal masterclass in category optimization. The way we break down the data today is going to fundamentally change how you look at supplier bids.
So picture this. Put yourself in the shoes of a procurement director for a second. An emergency response program in Juba urgently needs to get off the ground. The pressure is on, the clock is ticking, and critical operations, maybe even lives, are depending on you getting this right. You put out the request, but when those bids come back, you face a pretty terrifying reality. There is no single vendor who can actually do the whole job efficiently. The market is completely fragmented. So how do you solve that puzzle without blowing your budget or compromising on the vital tech you need? That is the exact question we're answering today.
Here's our roadmap for the Explainer. We'll cover the emergency procurement challenge, the single vendor trap, rethinking the bid strategy, line-by-line optimization, and finally, the strategic outcome.
Starting off with Section 1, the Emergency Procurement Challenge.
Setting the stage here is absolutely crucial to understanding what the procurement team was actually up against. I mean, this wasn't your standard office supply run for pens and paper. Look at this bill of quantities. We're talking Lenovo ThinkPad T450 laptops, Thuraya satellite communications devices, Coden Envoy X1 mobile HF radios, wall-mounted server cabinets, and GPS navigators. This is a highly specialized, operationally critical multi-category need. You've got basic IT hardware mixed right in with advanced, mission-critical satellite and radio comms, plus the physical infrastructure to hold it all. If literally even one of these items fails to deliver on time or the spec, the entire emergency response program could grind to a halt.
And, to add a little extra spice to the pressure cooker, this was a high-value governance process. The total spend was slated to exceed $12,000. Now, in the world of highly regulated emergency or NGO procurement, crossing that specific threshold triggers strict negotiated procedure rules. It demands extreme precision, ironclad audit trails, and cross-functional approvals from IT, finance, and logistics. There was zero room for sloppy execution or, gut-feeling decisions. Well, unless you wanted to have a very uncomfortable conversation with the audit team down the line. Every single dollar and every decision had to be rigorously justified.
That brings us to Section 2. The single vendor trap.
Navigating a supplier market is rarely straightforward, right? Especially in emerging or complex markets like Juba. It's the classic catch-22 we see all the time in these environments. Suppliers are fantastic in their specific niches, but they act as really expensive middlemen for everything else. So if you try to take the easy road and force one single supplier to cover the entire bill of quantities, you hit a brick wall. You've got option A. Go with a vendor who quoted everything, but pay a massive, completely unnecessary premium on the items outside their core business. Or, option B, go with a cheaper vendor, but severely compromise your technical assurance because, let's face it, they don't actually know anything about specialized HF radios or satellite tech. Either way, you're destroying value. Let's look at the actual players who stepped up to the plate. We had 4 suppliers submit quotations: Castel, Satcom Radio, RCS Radio and Satellite Communication, Juba Stationaries and Printing, and Computer Vision Limited. Now, it's super tempting to look at this list and say, well, Castel quoted all the items. Let's just use them and save ourselves the headache, right? But that is the ultimate trap. Just because a supplier can quote everything doesn't mean they should win everything. Relying solely on Castel for the sake of convenience might seem like a good idea at first glance, but as we dig into their actual numbers, we're going to see why that's a massive commercial pitfall.
So, how do we fix this? Section 3. Rethinking the bid strategy.
This is the moment the procurement team had to completely flip the script. They deployed a multi-award strategy. They stopped asking the traditional old-school question, who was the best supplier? Instead, they reframed the entire problem. The new question became, what is the lowest risk, best value supply solution across all categories? They stopped treating it as a simple purchasing task and started treating it like a portfolio optimization problem, driven directly by the bill of quantities. They realized the winning solution wasn't a single company, it was a combination of companies.
To actually pull this off, they followed a strict 3-step methodology. Step 1. Evaluate the line items individually. Literally tear the BOQ apart and look at the market for each specific tool. Step 2. Identify the true category winners based on actual expertise and cost, not just who submitted the prettiest overall bid. And step 3, design a multi-award structure that stitches these winners together while remaining fully compliant with that strict 12,000+ governance process we talked about earlier. They transformed a really messy RFQ into a highly controlled, engineered solution.
Let's see this in action. Section 4, line-by-line optimization.
Okay, let's get our hands dirty with the data. Just look at the sheer scale of the price discrepancy here on the Lenovo laptops. We are looking at the exact same ThinkPad T450. Juba Stationaries quoted $1,350. Computer Vision quoted $1,390. And Castel, remember, the vendor who conveniently quoted the entire BOQ, wanted $3,250 per unit. No way! It's almost like they were hoping the procurement team would just blindly approve the bottom line. Castel is clearly acting as a broker here, slapping a huge bundling premium on IT hardware that isn't their core business. By evaluating line by line, the team awarded the laptops to Juba Stationaries, capturing the absolute lowest unit price and dodging a disastrous markup.
But hey, it's not always just about the absolute lowest price, right? It's about best value and technical assurance. For the highly complex Codan Envoy X1HF radios, the assessment explicitly noted that RCS would supply them because the samples were actually approved by the requester, who is a technical person. RCS bid $4,535 per kit, which actually beat Castel's $4,995 anyway. But this is where the strategy really clicks together, pairing technical qualification by an end user with a clear, validated commercial advantage. They didn't just buy a radio, they bought the right radio at the right price.
And check out this one, the GPS navigators. It's an identical Garmin eTrex 30. Castel quoted $150. Computer Vision quoted $450. That is a staggering 3x price spread for the exact same piece of equipment. This vividly demonstrates why evaluating bids in aggregate is just so incredibly dangerous. If you just look at the bottom line of our proposal, these massive line items inefficiencies stay completely hidden. By isolating the GPS units, the team easily awarded this specific line to Castel, locking in incredible value for that item.
And we can't forget about time. Optimization isn't just financial, it's temporal. In an emergency response, lead times are absolutely critical. By splitting the award, they optimized delivery schedules across the board. RCS had the mission-critical radios X-Stock, meaning immediate delivery. Juba Stationaries needed 10 to 14 days for the specialized laptops. Castel needed 13 working days for the Thurayas and cabinets. A single vendor would have dragged the entire timeline down to their absolute slowest item. The split award ensured the most critical gear hit the ground first.
Which leads us to the finale. Section 5, the strategic outcome.
So what did this all amount to? Here is the master matrix, the whole shebang. It maps the chaos into perfect logic. Juba takes the laptops because they have the best unit price. Castel takes the Thuraya handsets and server cabinets because they dominated pricing there. And RCS secures the Codan radios due to unbeatable pricing combined with that crucial technical sample approval. Every single line item is awarded based on airtight mathematical and technical logic.
And the grand total for this beautifully engineered supply solution? $19,395.00. This wasn't just a low number, it was a highly controlled, fully optimized spend. Because the logic was so transparent and data-driven, it sailed right through the strict governance process, securing cross-functional approvals from IT, finance, and logistics without a single hitch. It mitigated risk, assured technical quality, and squeezed maximum value out of a really fragmented market.
So what's the big takeaway for us here? Whether you're operating in Juba, Toronto, or London, the core strategic skills remain exactly the same. To be a true procurement leader, you must be able to architect category strategies under severe market constraints. You can't just accept the market as it is, you have to mold it. You've got to execute BOQ-driven bid evaluations line by line to uncover those hidden premiums. You must seamlessly integrate technical qualifications with commercial data. And above all, you have to do all of this while maintaining strict governance and absolute audit readiness.
It really challenges the traditional way of buying, doesn't it? As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over for your own projects. Look at your next high-stakes bid. Ask yourself, are your procurement awards truly driving value through portfolio optimization, or are you just settling for the convenience of average? Try applying this line-by-line mindset, and you might just be shocked at the value you unlock. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Focus learners, keep dissecting the data, and I'll catch you next time.